Hello and welcome to Grocery Pod. My name is Sean Kosednar. I'm coming to you from the 2026 Innovation Showcase. Larry Miller from Smart Retai Solutions is joining me. We're going to talk about operational excellence to drive gross margins. But before we get to Larry, I want to remind you to please subscribe to Grocery Pod. Subscribing means new episodes will be downloaded for you each week. You can find Grocery Pod on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, or any other platform you use to listen to podcasts. Welcome back to Grocery Pod, Larry.
Sean, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. You know, this is an exciting show this year. AWG 2026 is celebrating its 100th year of serving the independent grocery community, and we're excited to be part of the show.
And so I mentioned that we're talking about operations excellence. That's what you're talking to our member retailers about at your booth. What does that mean?
That's really a great question, because when I started my session this morning, I had a session where I spoke to the retailers first. I asked them that exact question. I said, when we talk about store operations excellence, what does that actually mean to you? And I asked them, and one or two people out of about 100 that were in the room actually had an answer. But when I think about store operations excellence, I think about this. Every single store operating the exact way the company wants them to operate, following the behaviors, processes, and practices consistently in every store, in every department, so that when the owners walk in, or the vice president of operations, or the meat supervisors, or the produce supervisors walk in, those standards are set. They're consistently being followed in every single store. That's when we know we have a concept of a culture that's operating for store operations excellence. Not everybody doing their own thing or doing it the way they've always done it, but actually following a proven system. I liken it to, if I wanted to lose weight and I called Nutrisystems or Weight Watchers, if I buy the program, that's fine, but I actually have to follow the program to lose the weight. When we teach best practices and the data that drives or enables the best practices by the people in the stores, if they follow the program, we guarantee a 5-to-1 ROI from 15% to 20% reduction in shrink loss. And I redefine shrink loss for the stores. I tell them that shrink isn't just shrink, it is gross margin erosion. The buyers and supervisors actually buy their goods from AWG. They set a price, they set a retail, expecting to make a certain amount of gross margin. Anything less than that, I don't want to call it shrink. I want to call it gross margin erosion, because the system called Profit Tracks that we follow does exactly that. It mitigates gross margin erosion by preempting the loss. In other words, getting out in front of it to implement behaviors, processes, and practices that don't allow shrink to happen in the first place.
Do you have some examples of these behaviors, processes, and practices that you're trying to get our member retailers to instill?
Another good question. I do. I have many. The behaviors, processes, and practices start with a commitment by leadership that every store is going to follow these standards of operation. Standards of operation have to be consistently required, and people being held accountable for their implementation. The first one is effective ordering. One of my 5 triggers, and we'll talk about the 5 triggers for profit optimization. The first trigger is variety optimization. We have to know that what we have in the stores are selling at a proper rate, proper inventory turns, in order to make them valid for our inventory, make them worthy for our inventory. But the next trigger, the next best practice, is ordering excellence. While we have computer-assisted ordering within the Profit Track system, I need to make sure that all the employees that do ordering understand what excellence in ordering means. We have a system for that, for best practice execution, so that when they walk around their stores, or they walk into the meat cooler or the dairy cooler or the produce cooler, they can actually see excellence in ordering in practice. And the nice part about it is, because it's a whole store profit optimization program, grocery follows the same procedures and practices for ordering effectively as meat and produce and deli and bakery and dairy. Even though we have our computer-assisted ordering system, it's important that when the managers and owners walk around, they can walk in and see whether the program is in action or not. They can see when over ordering occurred. They can actually also see when under ordering is concerned, because in some cases we found department managers who order so close to get the turns so that they don't have shrink, they're actually controlling sales also. We don't want that to happen. We are a sales-driven company. We drive sales with profit tracks, but we also control gross margin erosion, also known as shrink.
One of the things that we were talking about before we got on air was, just the amount of data that AWG member retailers, have to deal with. How can you guys help out with that?
My entire team is made up of ex-grocers, people who actually worked in the stores. And way back in the day, there wasn't so much data. But today, retailers have so much data. I've probably spoken with and met at my show booth. I've probably talked to 10 retailers who said, we just don't need any more data. We have so much data, we actually don't use it all. We don't know how to use it all. So let me explain to you the hierarchy of the breakdown in how shrink is caused because people don't use data. We've bought data for this point solution and this point solution and this point, and we try to bolt it all together. We try to bring in point solutions for all different kinds of things, and we put them all together in different ways. But they have too much. So the breakdown is when you have too much data that isn't being used, that actually fractures the use of data, right? I don't know where to go. The meat guy's looking at this data, the produce guy's looking at this data, the store manager's looking at this data, the loss prevention guy's looking over. Everybody's looking at different points of view about what data looks like. We bring the disparate data in from 9 different sources, bring it all into one dashboard, into one command center, so that everybody's looking at one version of the truth when it comes to how are my sales, what are my top selling items, what are my worst selling items, what is my highest shrink items in each department, what is my lowest shrink items in each department. Maybe I can add some sales there if I risk a little bit of shrink. So all of that comes together in one place. We're inundated with data. We have to make better use of that data in order to drive gross margins and sales.
So you mentioned the 5 triggers. We've gotten through 2 of them. What's the third one?
I'm actually going to give you 5.5.
Okay.
At the very top of the arc, if you will, of the 5 triggers starts with the variety optimization. Our program will identify what are the top selling items in your store, what are the worst selling items in your stores, what items in your store have too much space allocation. Think grocery. And the order writers are just ordering to fill it, ordering to fill it, ordering to fill it when they're selling 2 cans a month. Mm-hmm. But they're just keeping it full and keeping it full. Number one, that's shelf stuffing. Right? It's the opposite of being out of stock of an item. We need to optimize that variety. We need to optimize that space allocation. The same thing holds true. So variety optimization is at the top. First in order is smart ordering after variety optimization. So we're ordering to stay in sale. We're ordering to optimize sales always, but also to optimize inventory turns. So we have to have a concept of whether or not we're ordering too much or too little. The profit track system, whether just visually and mentally, based on a rule of 3 concept that we teach every manager and every department manager, or our computer-generated systems for ordering, all of that is designed to keep you in stock with a pad so you don't run out of stock, but also optimize inventory turns so that you're selling fresh products in the fresh departments. That's production. Then we come with production planning. We have a fresh item production planning system that forecasts how much are you going to sell before your next truck plus a day, right? So we forecast fresh item ordering and fresh item production planning so that we have good production planning. And then space allocation is the same. That's the 4th one. And then we have tracking of shrink. Our philosophy is we don't want to track shrink. We want to preempt its loss. We want to stop it. We want to fix it. We want to preempt its loss. And the 5 best practices of variety optimization, smart ordering, smart production planning, smart space allocation in every single department preempts the shrink loss. But there's a secret weapon at the end of that. Every retailer in this entire building has been taught to do a store walk. Right? Walk your store every morning. Make sure you're ready for business. Make sure your people are in place. Make sure your displays are right. Make sure your displays are signed. Make sure you have all your advertised items. That's a store walk, a mechanical store walk. Truthfully, I could teach a high school senior to do that. We teach profit walk. We turn the table on store walk. We do all those things too, but we want to make sure that they're physically looking at inventory turns. Am I selling these deli salads? We train managers to ask their deli manager, what's your best selling deli salad here in your fresh salad area? And the moment they say that, I say, great, what's your worst selling item in this case? Because that's not turning. We know where we're getting turns, we know where we're not getting turns. We do that in every single department. When we get to the meat department, we're looking at their markdowns. We're looking at all those facets to see if they're marking it down, they overproduced it. Same thing with produce. If their produce shrink is high on 6 top shrink items, that means they over-ordered it or they over-space allocated it. We train them to see inventory turns.
And then what? What's the next step that retailers do? So they see these things, and then how do they implement some change?
We provide them with a daily report, a weekly report for any time period in the last 15 months and forecasted forward, so that once they see what they're shrinking or they see what their best selling items are to optimize those sales, we teach them to order. Again, I'm going to repeat myself, but we teach them that these are the items of variety that you optimize. These are the items in your variety that you need to reduce. These are the items that you need to order smarter because you didn't get sell-through, you didn't get turns in the proper amount of time. We don't want fresh items to be in the stores, in the coolers, more than 3 days. It's called the rule of 3. I can teach you, Sean, to walk into a meat cooler or a produce cooler or a deli cooler and know whether they're ordering for turns or not. That's part of the game. But the data that's feeding those best practices comes first.
Gotcha. So if any retailers out there interested in putting these practices to use, what do they need to do?
Well, number one, they can call me. My number is 602-448-8500. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. They can email me at Larry@Smart Retai Solutions, or they can find me on LinkedIn or on my many websites, smartretailsolutions.com. Most importantly, take a step, pull the trigger to do better. We guarantee 3-to-1 to 5-to-1 ROI depending on the volume that they do. But I don't care if it's a 3-store guy or a 300-store guy. I don't care if they're doing $150,000 a week or $1 million a week. We can find the reasons, their behaviors, and drive the data to show them where they need to focus. The data gives us focus. That's not the solution. No technology is the solution. It gives us focus if we want to use that focus to implement stronger best practices.
I'll have the links to all of those websites in the show notes. So reach out to Larry if you want to learn more. Larry, thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure.
And thank you all for listening. Please remember to like and subscribe to GrocerPod. That way you can stay up to date on all the latest things going on around AWG. And until next week, this has been Sean Kosednar with GrocerPod.